Welcome everyone, and how are we today? Today is going to be a continuation of our instructional video. So this is instructional video number 3 in regards to the topic of the light cell energy frequency, body of light. We'll be continuing our talk or discussion about how to bring in more light, more energy light, more energy frequency light. So it's an energy cell. We are a frequency that is very high in the light cell energy frequency body of light. We can be predetermined in whichever light we want to before we incarnate on this planet. Mother Gaia was instituted or installed with, I'm going to say, a higher frequency divinity ray than what time could ever tell. She knew exactly what energy she needed to have in here on this planet, on her planet of light, to restore everybody's higher genetic codes of light. She knew that through working with her higher frequency light cell energy body of light, she could instill higher conscious awareness in everyone whom she drew to her within this time period. And this is an awesome kinetic time of light, of being here on this planet. And she serves us by giving us our higher light. It's not that she's giving it to us for the first time. She's resolving to bring us back to where we once were before, to our divinity line of time. The divinity codes are very high and bright. They're angelic light. They're what we process when we are in fields of darker light. So when we came here onto this planet of light, Gaia's light turned her wider essence. It's like she shone this brilliant light, and I'm seeing a picture of like a lighthouse. You know how they shine their light back and forth? I grew up Lake Huron, and there was a lighthouse right there. So we learned, so the boats didn't crash on the rocks at the channel. There's a very narrow channel there. And we knew that when she had a siren sometimes, or the light, she had the light beam going out, it was to help those ships who were coming into port. So Mother Gaia has learned through other lessons of light with other timelines that to increase her life load or light load here on the planet, she needs to increase the energy of the fields of light around the people of light. And this is what she has been progressively doing over time, over different time waves of thought, over different energies, energetics of light. She has been bringing us to the higher light. So this is her purpose. It is to bring us to a higher light. And our light cell energy frequency bodies of light are what give us great height. In other words, they're the frequencies that turn us back or return us to our former existence in the light, our former way of being. So when anybody feels like they can't quite get out of there, as they refer to it themselves, their dark of night, in other words, points in their lifetimes where they're feeling despair and rejection, and they're contemplating maybe suicide or something, where they're really down and out about certain aspects of life here on the planet, Mother Gaia steps in to increase her frequency flow. Now you still can know that you can discharge your energy in whichever way you please, because you're in these physical bodies. You're in physicalness on the planet. as is she. So she understands there are times of great desperation and need, that feeling of great need, and it's amplified across the planet. And she understands that when she is feeding us a reduction in our fear levels, in our light cell energy frequency body of light, she knows there will be some people who will not respond well to her higher light. This is where we come in to teach you about our angelic light. Our angelic light comes through source codes of higher light on the planet and beyond. Our light cell energy frequency bodies of light carry those old past codes of light that come from the highest divinity channels of light. And as we're reprocessing and processing over and over and over again through eons of time, how to disconnect from the disabled thoughts of the light, we come into this convergence time period here on the planet, and we begin to seed new thoughts of light. Our thoughts in the higher hemispheres of the brain generate new codes of light, and they put us into a restrictionless state of being. So we feel more amplified in our light. We feel like we can engage in higher light. We come more frequency into states of bliss and then higher bliss, because there's always another energy source code to enlighten us to further and further states of enlightenment. And when our codes are lit up into the synods of time, we begin like a new rhythm, a new rhyme. It's like a new song. An artist creating a new song across the timeline. And then we encode that within the substructures of the spirit lining of the highest complexes in light, in our energy body, in our energy frequency body of light. This is our cell. This is our battery cell. This outer coating gives us the light and the life that we need to proceed on this planet of light. We engineer our own grounding mechanism when we come in here. We understand from times past how to turn the darker or lesser light on the planet into a progressive unit of timeline, of time waves, of thought, energy thought, to produce higher beings of light. So when our energy cell gets recharged by Mother Light, we hold that within the corpuscles in the brain and in the brainstem, and we superalign with them when we come in to juxtaposition ourselves into the higher light. So when we're thinking about how do we get out of this mess, let's say you're going through a period of distress in your life, and we've all been there, done that, right? And we want to know, how do we jump out of this? Like, it's almost like we want to jump out of our skins too, isn't it? But our skins of light as well. So how do we do this? How do we pole vault out of this darker situation? We start to release resistance to the higher light. And that means we have to turn on the corpuscles in the light cell energy frequency body of time into our highest technology within the timeline wavelength consortium of time. Now, this might seem like a little bit difficult to understand or confusing to most of us right now, but in time, we're going to understand this is a very distinctive race of light here, being here, living here on this planet. They have been here since the beginning of time and time wave thought technology. which is what we're all generating here on the planet. In other words, every thought we think from our third eye, our divine higher mind's eye, not the ego mind or the lesser self-eye, we begin this awesome energetic frequency of light that emboldens us and moves us through the atmospheres of higher light. So we switch wavelengths of time as a result. And this is the jumping of the timelines that you've heard many people speak about, as well as ourselves, in the channeling and in other movements of time in your lifetimes. So you have a recall device in your head. You have a system of light that cannot be shed. You have a higher frequency of light, and it's generated in the light cell energy frequency bodies of light within the cellular plant of the planet. There's a generational planetary grid that Mother Gaia has reserved just for herself in these timelines. And the old antiquated lines of time that were, I always hear the word as deleterious to her higher light. These old, antiquated, outmoded, it's almost like they're dirty, they've been dirtied up. They are generated. They are given, in other words, enough light cell energy frequency bodies of light to clear it. It's like it's a massive clearing on your planet right now. As we have done for eons of time before, we've worked with many planetary beings of thought, like Mother Gaia, and we've shifted all of them out of their darkest, dreariest thoughts and into the light. So you see, we genetically can splice our higher timelines into your timelines here on the planet. And Mother Gaia regurgitates her light for you, for us, for everybody. Because she's working with your higher light cell energy frequency bodies of light. These are the ones that are treated like dynamite. So when you spark them, they explode a whole bunch of new neural network codes into the sympathetic remembrances in the brain. So it lifts any disdain, in other words, resistance to the higher plane of light, the higher conscious awareness, and it institutes a new level playing field for the light. So in other words, we're not the underdogs anymore. We start to surface our energy, and we start to align with the higher light codes, because it's rays of time that we come in on. Certain people have come in on very high rays of time codes, and these codes are enveloped in their structures, in their light. These light cell energy frequency bodies of light need to be lit up, in other words. So as we're going through and we're discussing all of these complex terms with you, we're beginning to seed new thoughts in the corpuscles of the brain, in the brain stem. And we lighten you up through this information stream of light. Even if you are not taking in all of the information in a third dimensional vibrational encoded way, you are definitely taking all of this informational stream of light and encoding it into your higher beams of light. And this is how we download the new energy codes of light. We come in through the cerebral cortices of the brain, and we align them with the higher plane of knowledge, of light. So Mother Gaia knows this routine. She's been there, done that for many eons of time with many other planetary bodies of light as well. She's not the only one in your solar system who knows how to do this. She is the one who is guiding all of us today. She's very strong. She's very powerful. She's weak when you don't allow her energy to speak to you. In other words, when you just kind of shut the door and you're in resistance to her. When you don't want to listen to what she's saying to you. And she's saying that she loves you. She's very versatile in her energy core. She knows how to get you into the higher frequency light, to wake up the planet and the planetary light and their engineered codes of light. So everybody is getting a stream of knowledge at a hidden time in their timelines. Not everybody knows when these genetic codes align with Mother Gaia's light. We all come in from distant planets and from other planetary lights, and we don't always have all the genetic codes that need to be firing up when we arrive here. Sometimes some of us get more, I'm going to say, freedom codes than others. So others will like to align with Mother Gaia, and others will be more distant from her. So she brings in these higher elemental codes for all of us to access in our higher brains, our brain stems of light. This is where the light cellular energy frequency bodies of light come on board or online with her. So she relegates a new a divinity timeline of angelic codes to be uplifted in certain nodes of time that overlap. So there'll be one and then there'll be other, and they kind of cross over, all right? They make that cross in time. And then they jump timelines. So it's like you're going for a walk and you want to get across a little river, and how am I going to do that? And then you see a bunch of stones in the river, and you look at it and you go, oh, I can cross over the river on that little bridge of stones. And that bridge carries you from one side of the field into another. And it's the same visual for you to understand this concept. We're going from one field of ray of light into another force field of energy light. And we're crossing over into those synapses of time. So it's like a brainstem coordinating timelines with your energy thoughts, because all creation comes from the energy of thinking about what we want to create. If you are creating light and love, you will see angelic energy. You will be processing it into your higher light, your light cell energy frequency bodies of light. If you are on certain timelines where you do not have those genetic codes, the angelic codes of light, you will be prospering in your darker cell light. So this is where the division in thought comes in. It's very important to understand this about lighting up frequency bodies of light. If you can generate more space in the light, you can create a higher energetic response to the brighter light. And this is where we want to determine and predetermine which thought wave we want to generate in time. So these energy frequency bodies of light come here. They're hidden at first in the darker light. Then they're exposed to our higher light, and then they mushroom. They grow, and their filaments of light fill up with the higher light. And as these angelic energy beings of light come onto your planet to display their new light codes, you become one. You become one of them. You become armed with higher and higher fields of light. And once you generate these higher fields of light, you feel good. You feel better. You don't feel that despair. You don't feel like crossing over, before it's your time. You don't feel neglected. You don't feel hurt. You don't feel you've been sidestepped by other beings of light. You feel that you belong here. You're part of helping the problem here, as you view it. You feel like you really want to be part of the higher light. These energy codes can bring you online so fast, and your third eye, your higher mind's eye, will become so sharp in seeing. It's an all-viewing spectrum. It's like how your owls are in the planet. They can look all the way around. They have like a 360 view. And we only have a certain view in our peripheral. These timelines are encoded with wondrous ways of being in the light. So you see that your ship has come in. You see the worthiness that you came in with. You see all the delinquent energy discharged out of your light cell energy frequency bodies of light. And you feel like all of that contamination in the dirtier light is gone. It's relieved piece by piece. It's not a total sweeping clean at first. It's a little bit generated by the higher light, a little bit at a time, because taking out too much too fast can actually hurt you. It's too much. And for those who have done a physical detox in your third dimensional space, if you detox too much, you can do yourself in. So you have to do it a little bit at a time. You can't do too much or it's overwhelming to the physical body. Well, it would be overwhelming for us to reduce the darker light too quickly, because in your own sequences of light, they need to be rebalanced when you're in a polarity method of being, way of being here on the planet, which you are. You're in a polarity or a duality kind of system where there's dark and light. So we can't pull it all out at once. It's got to go step by step by step as you're acclimatized to the higher light. So it's a transformation of your higher light. And as you have electrical fields or your hydro on the planet, there are transformers that step up and step down different properties of light. And that's what we're referring to. It's an energy core here on the planet. And Mother Gaia runs with that energy. She's a generating light cell energy machine. And in her higher bodies of light, she is a wondrous angelic being. And she loves all of you angelic beings on her planet because she brought you here. She enticed you to come here and to help her and help work out this plan on planet Earth. And she loves you. She's giving you a rebirth in your highest light, your higher light. So the light cell energy frequency bodies of light came here to dispel fear. They came here to generate more knowledge and wisdom and understanding and heartfelt surrender to the higher light. When the darker light starts to reprocess out of those panels of light within the cerebral cortices of the brain, you begin to lift your disdain, because there's always resistance and there's pain. So you're shifting out these frequencies that caused shame and blame and consternation on your planet, and misapplied energy and misaligned frequencies of thought. So you're always caught in a time knot, like a time warp. And you needed to clear that, to be free of it. So again, going back to our river analogy, to jump from one field of energy into another, we have to bridge you. And to bridge you, we have to bring in new thoughts, new higher wavelengths of thoughts, a new way of being on the planet. It's a new way of thinking and generating new thoughts that are higher, that come from your light cell energy frequency body of light, engineered codes of light. They are the ones that give you this highest frequency of light here on the planet. Mother Gaia could fulfill her mission and just do it all herself and wipe you all clean. But it wouldn't be a pattern that would sustain itself over time. She needed to teach us how to understand rhythms and rhymes of time. In other words, wavelengths of time, rivers of time. She needed to teach us how to be feeling sublime in our own energy fields of time. So if she did it all for us, we wouldn't be learning too much about how to clean up planetary resistance to the light. So we came here with the mission and a co-mission in the light of the light, to replenish the higher fields of light here on the planet, because they were darkened, they were dirtied, they were spoiled, they were in resistance to the higher light. So our generation of light has increased the planetary expression of light. And it is reaching into your highest insight. So this web of dirty light that has been here on the planetary grid for some time has been washed clear. It's like it's been washed and is hung out to dry. You know, you wash your shirts and you hang them on the line to dry in the sun and in the wind and be blown dry and clean, and it's fresh and it smells good and it's nice. So we're here to clean up the old planetary grid of the darker light. And how do we do that? How do we teach the inhabitants how to clean up their own light when they're in resistance to even hearing that information? Nor can they understand it. How do you do that? How do you teach someone who doesn't know anything about light cell energy frequency bodies of light to understand it when they don't even know who they are themselves? So the awakening occurs. They get a little jolt of energy. They get a little testing. Can we give them a little bit more energy to wake them up? And their light cell energy frequency of body gets it. They understand, because they had the residual codes from past lines of time of the beings of light who were divine on their timeline. So all of us have energy timelines encoded in the higher lines of time. In other words, we all have divinity lines of time. We all have those frequencies of the higher mind. So the source code energy fields of light are already instilled in the higher light energy frequency bodies of light. So we're teaching all of us here how to re-engineer the templates of time. There's a bit of wordiness behind all of this, but the action takes less time than the explaining. So all we have to do is we have to come in and genetically re-engineer all of the codes in the light to bring you into higher frequencies of light. And these generational time codes are already here. They're in the time nodes of time, space, encapsulations, which is what we're in this frequency of time? On Mother Gaia. She is working, she's helping us to turn on a dime. So we're going to change our own wavelength, our thought wavelength technology into higher spheres of light to learn how to encode our higher light. And once we understand the codes of light, we will turn them on and we'll go from the darkest of our night to our highest light that we can reverberate on the planet. It's not the highest in existence anywhere. It is the highest that can be generated in this encoded light field on the planet. So all of our technology is true. All of the vastness of our expression of our light comes through to you as we encode you with these higher beams of light. They're genetic engineering codes of light. They've been spliced into your cerebral cortices from a long time past, and they have been reevaluated, and they have been shown to be carrying less resistance than before. So all of our technology can go to the core, the root chakra, light cell energy system, body of light, to ignite the energy into higher light. So you are beaming thoughts of less resistance to the light so that you can turn your own engineering on, and you can step out of your own fright. And that's how you change your light, because you're changing the frequencies of the thinking process in the light. And we offer you less resistance over time, because this is the way the generational mind steps out of time that are no longer primed for divinity timelines. In other words, there will be no angelic codes on those lines of time, because the divinity codes are angelic codes. We're going to keep emphasizing and re-emphasizing this core root information for you, because we're all valuable in the light. We all have certain genetic codes of light. We all are predetermined in our light before we come here. So we get shades of dark within our light. We get certain complexes in the light that are not very bright. And we get some downloads that are filled with a lot of dark of night, of our dark of night. So we have different episodes in the light that we have to work through, that we generated through thought. And when there's a lot of ways of thinking that are divinely oriented into the higher light, it's easier to turn a planet back to the light. If there are more beings of thought here who are of lesser light or darker light, it takes them a while to work through their dark of night. It takes them special resistance training in the light to remove those thoughts that were not encoded in the higher light on their timelines. So this is why we've given humanity vast quantities of time to turn their own energy. And this is the frequency of light that we speak about with you. It's a generational fear that we came here to clear. It's an awesome networking here. So as the darker light shifts off of the planet, the higher light breathes a sigh of relief and enters into the corpuscles of the brain, acknowledging the lifting of the disdain from that particular refrain or that particular part of time. It's like a particle wave. And we're all releasing our own timelines in one breath on Mother Gaia right now. So we alleviate our own distress. We're all going, yay, this is our timeline. This is our timeline to encode the higher divinity lines. The angelic frequencies of our higher timelines are now encoded on our divinity lines of time. And it is an awesome reconnectiveness that is going on your planet right now. Mother Gaia instituted these, we'll call them rules and regulations for you to follow in the reprocessing of the planet, the planetary grid. And this grid can no longer be hid. This grid is a higher, darker light than before. The higher, darker light has been given more angelic code light than it could ever retain before. So all the darker movements in the light are being waved off of the planet because the planetary grid of darker light has been removed. It was hidden before through time wave technology, but that's not part of our future. It's part of our distant past. It wasn't performing well enough to last. And all these encodings in the higher light threw off the darker light. So it's actually, as I'm hearing it, giving them a respite. So they're taking out their dark of night. They're relaxing their germination period out. And they're starting to bring about their higher light. So everybody's being encoded in Mother Gaia's higher light. And the divinity rays, the blue rays, the genetic codes of light rays are coming in. They're flooding the planet of light. So remember who we are through the genetic codes of light. Remember that your resistance is now clear. You're no longer in resistance to your higher atmosphere, your higher way of being or thinking or seeing yourself. You've relaxed those old codes out, and you now have the higher angelic codes of the divinity ray, the rays of time that have been fielded into your prime divinity lines of time. In other words, your divinity codes. And we all hold them within the light cell energy frequency bodies of light. It's a generational fear clearing to come into the higher light, because all of a sudden those genetic codes have been firing and they come online, and you understand the divine. You understand your divine. You understand the divinity rays of time. You understand what was limiting you or inhibiting you from progressing onto these lines of time, the divinity lines of time. The divinity codes are from the higher mind. If you take nothing else away from all of this instruction today, understand the meltdown is underway. And that's the meltdown of the older codes. They no longer can be shifted into the higher nodes of time. So they can't go and, I'm going to use the word curse, the higher lines of time. They can't affect it in a negative way, in other words. They can't stop the higher divinity lines of time, nor the angelic codes. Once they've been uplifted in the higher nodes of time, they're divinity lines. There's no frequency that can stop that once the wavelength has begun and has gained a little momentum in your heart. So we're all ready. Partly there, and partly we're still a little scared of this system of light. We're not quite sure about the energy just yet, but most of us are getting this. Most of us are understanding the wavelengths of time. A lot of us are getting that we are divine. There's still a little bit more momentum to clear. There's still more angelic energy to be created in your atmosphere. There's still a lot more light cell energy frequency body damage to the light that has to be reprocessed and switched over into the higher light. So more light cell energy frequency bodies of light are coming online. There are more instruments of time here who are helping with our divine lines, and there are more frequencies that are coming online. They're coming to the forefront, in other words, for us to see. And we're going to understand genetic energy. And in the lymphatic pool of energy, you will begin to understand how all these rays of time work together. It really is a technological marvel in time and in timeline wave technology. So we're here to pre-engineer and re-engineer and engineer our light codes into the highest frequency of light that Mother Gaia holds here for you, for us, for everyone, for herself. Once we wipe the slate clean of the old, dirty, darker energies that were once more inclined to rule here, we're good to go. So we have a little bit more energy freeing, clearing to be done here in the light cell energy bodies of light. So this is why we're now discussing these terms, so you're not afraid, so that there's no, well, I don't understand or get this, because we're now leading the technology race here on the planet. And we are fulfilling our light cell energy prophecies of genetic encoding to bring us all into the highest divinity lines of time, the angelic codes. And they are beautiful energies of light. They will restore any of your energy insight that was blinded by the lesser light. You'll begin to understand why you encoded the inferior light, as in the lesser light, the darker light, the less encoded light, and how you sourced that. In other words, how you brought it back to your highest light, and how through the light cell energy frequency bodies of light, and how you're now gaining strength and wisdom and understanding through that core light. Everyone's energy is going to bring you respite from your dark of night. In other words, we're all leaning in towards one another for help, for encouragement, for support, for understanding who we are, why we're here, why we are genetically clear in the higher light. We're all understanding these new frames of light. They're encoded in higher light. They're source code divinity training capsules of light. So it's like you swallow a little pill and when you're ill, and then you feel, oh, I think I'm not ill anymore. So these little encapsulated bits and pieces of knowledge and understanding that were pre-wired for you in your higher mind, your third eye mind, they're all coming online. And they're like little escape codes, and they let you see how the earth could be, and that this is your future destiny, to love your light, to bring your energy cell up and turn it on very bright, and to be hidden no longer in your darker light or your dark of night. It's like a sandstorm that comes in and wipes the area clean. It is marvelous. It's an engineering dream. You're part of the latest scene on this planet. You're part of the grid work that's being done. You're part of the alliance of the energy beings of the sun. And you're part of angelic codes and encoding everyone. So thank you for a work well done. We have access now to our higher sun, the higher implementation of being at peace and at one. And we're all energetic beings of the light cell energy sun. So understanding all of these terms and the terminology will take some time. It'll take some time to rest and digest it into the divine mind. But all of these sequences of thought are stirring up more compilations in thought that provide more understanding in the higher light. And this is what we're doing here. We're educating the public as to how to belong to their higher light. It's a new expression of their highest insight. What do they want to create on the planet? It's a marvelous time period to be alive here. So, scrub your light cell energy frequency bodies of light clean and clear. Release any fear. Embrace the angelic momentum here. And field your light into your divinity respite. It takes you out of your dark of night and into your highest height. God bless. We are your energy of light. We are your angels of light. You're at a crossroads in time. So make up your mind whether it's a wavelength that's less divine or of the higher mind. This is the cross ways of thinking. It's higher mind or being less divine. We are all beings of the higher mind. Right? So blessings always, everyone. Thank you for joining with us today as we were explaining a lot of the light cell energy thought bodies of light here on the planet. We're generating new wisdom. We're generating new thought waves. And we are coming here to express our own desires for the light and to help you reach great height in your new expressions of your new angelic light. Thank you. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today in this channeled message. And I look forward to continuing on with our next instructional video, which will be instructional video number 4. All right, take care, everyone. Blessings always. Be at peace in your own mind.